Okay, give me 2 seconds.
Hey. There we go.
Is it good now?
Yeah, all good. Shot, man. Can you see me fine?
I can just put the mic now has
So do you say that you're cutting out the
I'll be better.
Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Welcome, sir.
Okay,
Welcome.
cool.
Thank you so much for allocating some time for us, man.
No worries. Thank you for taking time out for me. Thank you.
No, all good. Firstly, welcome to IOL Sport and MMA. I know it's exciting times ahead for you, Mr. Gift Walker, and I just thought we'd explain and just give the fans some in detail about who you are, where you're from, what you're about. So with no further ado, I'm going to just get straight into the questions. I know you're a busy guy and you probably came from training now, so I won't keep you for too long.
Yes, sir. I'm still cutting weight. So I was hitting pads and I looked at the time. It was 20 past 8. I was like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now home. So yeah, that is what happened there.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And sorry for bothering you.
No worries. Thank you, dude. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So Gift, can you just start up with just for the usual basic details, where are you from and your age and what school did you attend?
Okay, so I'm 21 years old. I attended Protea High School. My name is Gift Walker. I fight out of Hustle Tinkerbell Springs. Yeah, I've been training martial arts since I was 13 years old. So it's like 8-9 years I've been competing and fighting. Yeah, I literally do this as like a sport. I love doing this, man. It's like one of the things that like I wake up in the morning and this is all I do, literally. And I'm not just literally all I freaking do. It's like all I do. And yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it.
How exactly did you get into MMA?
So my sister used to work for the SPCA and she would host like action cricket events for them and all of that stuff. I was already into action cricket. And the one day they hosted like a fundraising event and the event was Cage Wars. And that event, my sister's like, she's like an executive, like she got everything together. So I went, so I had free tickets and I went and I watched the fights. And while watching the fights, they took me even backstage. And backstage, the fighters were busy warming up and everything. And it was like the most realistic I've ever seen in my life. Like just before fighters walk out, you can just imagine. And it's still like back in those days. So it's like your fighters on this side, my fighters on this side. These guys would like tune each other's shit. They push each other. And like it was crazy. Like I was like 13, I was like, man, I really want to do this. I really want to do this. And yeah, that is how I got into it. And I spoke to the coach that day. He told me to come back on the Monday because the event was a Saturday. I came back on the Monday and I just started since. The club I started with was Rio Grappling.
Okay, cool. Awesome stuff, man. And then just aside from your MMA, other hobbies or sport activities that you're involved in, aside from the action cricket or the indoor cricket also you spoke of?
Oh, as a kid, obviously, I was always competitive. I did athletics like running, long jump, high jump. I was good at rugby, really good at rugby, good at cricket, not so good at soccer. But I was good at sports. And I always had the direction. I was going to be a professional athlete. I always knew this was the way I was going to go in my life. But team sports, it's a little bit different. Hey, when you lose, when you're on a team, it's a lot of like, how can I put? If the cricket team loses,
it hits harder when you're alone, eh?
Yeah, it is. If the cricket team loses, and I actually had a good game today. it kind of sucks that I lost because I'm like, fuck, I played good. Whereas if I have a good day in the cage, there's no way I should lose because I had a good day. If I had a day in the cage and I lose, well, that's on me because I had a bad day in the cage.
For sure. I understand that completely. And then also just explain. You said you were quite good at rugby. Also, what position you played? Scrummer, flyer, backline, anywhere in the backline?
Number 13.
Outside center. Okay, cool.
No, outside center. I played number 11 and number 14, the wing positions, but I'm not the fast. Like I'm fast, I'm quick, but I'm not the quickest guy. Okay. So it wasn't always the best for me at wing. And I like to be like a playmaker. I like to set up plays, and also I like to step a little bit. And in the centers, you get to step as well. So that's why I like being a center.
Okay, awesome stuff, man. Cool. And then just tell us, in terms of work, are you working full time? Are you full time into fighting? A trainer fighter? You're studying? What is Gift Walker doing?
Trainer fighter. So I've got classes that I run on a Monday to Friday, obviously privates, and there's classes with JP Kruger at the academy that we run, our kids classes. And that's kind of what pays my bills. I'm literally full-time fighter. So I'm personal trainer / fighter.
Okay, nice. And I was actually just to touch on that note also, because it looks like you have quite a close relationship with JP. And even at the Nationals, when I saw you now at Edenvale, you're stepping up to pro now, but just your aura and the way you carry yourself, it looks like you already turned pro. And I even thought, I was going to ask you that, why didn't you enter the competition? Was it because of you were going to turn pro this year? But I was expecting like winners give them a fight. I didn't even bother to ask anybody because I thought maybe you're going to take part. But also just the fact that you carry this aura of like an established fighter already, even though you were still amateur. Is that also credit to JP and how he has mentored you over the years, or anybody else that's groomed you from a young age?
Yeah, no, I do. I do think that is JP. He's been literally like a big brother figure. So he's given, if I can look at how he's done it in his career, he's given me a blueprint. And in that blueprint, I can see where there's like what worked for JP Kruger and what works for me. And I can kind of hit my own angle there. And it's like, be yourself. I think that's also the coolest thing I learned from him. Just be yourself, man. It's like no one's going to stop you from being you. Just also don't be an asshole. That's also the main thing. Don't be an asshole. That's the direction I'm going to. And I'm like, I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Okay, awesome. And then just tell us, like, because based on what I also said now with regards of you not taking part amateur, what was the reason? Was it because of the fact that you were deciding to go pro this year, so you didn't want to enter?
Yeah. I'm like, I won that essays 2 years in a row, the Nationals.
Yeah.
So the people that fought in the finals, I beat both of them. I finished both of them. So there was nothing really left for me to go back and go fight again. So I was like, I need to focus on being pro. Plus, in that time period, I was supposed to fight 2 EFCs ago, like 2 EFCs back. I was supposed to make my debut. Okay. But with contract and with weights and everything, there's been a whole hoorah and everything. It's been delayed now. So I fight now. But yes, I've been going pro this whole time. It's been my mission. I was even supposed to, they were telling me about world champions and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to do world championships. I don't care about that.
Okay, cool. But you obviously were the champion like 2 consecutively, but did you also go with the team? Was it 2019 when they went overseas? Did you go with that team with Justin Ferrier then? No.
Hey, that's an interesting story. Like, I'm glad I'm pro now. Get to speak out against IMMAF now. And they can't really say anything and stop me now, because what happened was, for all Africans, if you weren't all Africans, it just looks a lot better getting sponsors than if I'm just Gift Walker, if that makes sense. If I'm already the African champion going overseas, that's going to be good. And with my all Africans, at the same blood test results as my 2 training partners and other people around me, same blood test, everything, but IMMAF wouldn't let me through. They like, doctors, they refused me. Like, we called them, even the guy from London, we called them, they're like, no, but you can't fight. And their guys actually went on to win the tournaments. Like, their Bahrainian guys went on to win the tournaments.
Oh, that's crazy.
So I was heartbroken. Hey, I was gutted. And everyone's like, look, like, I can't say I was gonna win. That's lies. But I had a good chance of winning, and they stole that from me. And I'm like, I'll never forget IMMAF for that. I'll never like get that back. So I've always had like a grudge against them, and I've waited till I go pro so I could be like, IMMAF, you guys are actually shit. You must get your act together. So
you had a good chance of becoming like the next Amanda Lino or Rudy Roots also, or bringing home the gold, eh?
Yeah. I wanted to go to Worlds and bring home a gold. That was the mission, because my division, we're good, and there's a lot of good guys there, but they're wrestlers. None of them are complete athletes, and I'm like, I was going to bring that factor to the table. And IMMAF, I don't know, like everyone says, it's like I mustn't look at it like that, but you can't when you're a fighter. I'm like, I look at it, they were protecting their fighters, and I'm like, oh, gift, it's okay.
You can just control what's in front of you, eh?
Oh yeah, but that day I was super emotional.
No, I can imagine. You obviously put in the blood, sweat, and tears, and then there's something out of your control messes up.
Yeah, especially when they tell me I'm calling a guy from England, and I speak to a guy from England, and he's like, no. I'm like, what? Oh, what an ass.
Gee, I'm sorry to hear that, eh?
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. Obviously, I got over it. Life happened. I won some fights. I lost some fights. Like, life carried on. Like, it happens.
Just speaking about your fights now, I mean, first of all, your pro picture, is that Polani Shabalala in your pro picture?
Which one? My profile picture?
Yeah, on your WhatsApp, was that Polani? There was a picture of...
Yes.
So are you guys quite...
No, I'm holding a friend.
Because I thought it looked like him, or who's the other guy, man?
Nathaniel.
Sorry, Nathaniel Kamana. Was it Nathaniel that you fought? Did you fight Nathaniel also?
Yes, he's my trading partner, my bestie. He's like my bestie.
But were you also didn't you face him once upon a time?
No, never.
Oh, okay. I just got confused. I thought that you faced Nathaniel. I keep on getting confused between the two because you fought Polani at was it MMA?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Cool.
My last one.
Okay, cool. And then just tell us, but looking at your amateur fights as well, you fought quite distinguished fighters based on the amateur and the pro career so far. I mean, Cameron Simon, Raymond Eikert, Julio Blake, and then I think you were set to fight Nicholas Wende also, who's from a guy from UMF, obviously made a coming out of the Mark Penner and Temba Garimbo's camp. You got quite a strong background also in terms of amateur scene. Do you feel that that's going to play to your into your hands also, just making your debut, already facing some of these guys, because a lot of our amateur guys don't really face that level of competition before they even step up. So do you think that's going to play in your favor?
I do. Like, I've never in my whole life taken an easy fight. Never. If you ask me about an easy fight, you look at any of our fights, all of our fights are tough fights. They've guys that have been champions or guys that have been main event fights. That's the only guys I face. And that level's the good level, because even at pro level, these guys, they haven't fought that. They've never seen that kind of level fighter. So me coming in there and bringing just that experience is going to be good. And everyone's like, oh, I'm still a boy. I'm still very young. And I'm like, I am. But I'm like, don't take my like amateur experience and push that to the side. Just because it says amateur doesn't mean it's not a real fight. Doesn't mean anything. That just means I wasn't paid. That's the only difference between pros. I wasn't paid for my fights. You're getting paid. So yeah, these a lot of guys, I see it. They look down at the guys coming through from amateur ranks to the pro ranks. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna give you a hiding because we're pro. But that's not the case. That's really not.
Yeah, you actually beat Julio Blake, and he beat you once. It's like 1-1 there, eh? The two of you in amateur scene.
No, we have to run that back. We must.
You'll probably get a chance now, maybe.
I do think, like, I'm not chasing that fight. There is a lot bigger fights. Like, I saw Julio, and disrespect to him, but he didn't really excite me. Like, there wasn't real like, oh, I must fight Julio again, if that makes sense to you. But I would love to fight him again because of that trilogy factor. But then you ask me about one that I lost to. I would love to fight anyone that beat me, because I'm like, fuck that. I don't like losing, so I want to fight again. But yeah, no, I do think they will match me and Julio again, like early days, just because our flyweight division in EFC is only so small. So they're gonna, me and Julio will run into each other eventually again.
And I'm just like referring back to now your strong foundation in the amateur scene. Is that also something that you and JP have worked on and designed since the start of your career? Because like I said, I think it's so important that our amateur athletes need to take that route that you took, really build a strong foundation, not only for in terms of the way the opponent you face, but also in terms of building your career as well. Because some of these guys, they just fight two fights against anybody and then they suddenly try to jump into the pro scene, and then they suffer the consequences. Do you feel that is the blueprint?
Yeah, like there are guys getting their pro license with me that I know for a fact this guy has 4 amateur fights and this guy's getting his pro license. And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, me and you are going to meet in the pro scene and I'm going to tear you to shreds. I'm going to eat you alive because not because of anything, just because of experience. I've seen this a lot more. I've done this a lot more. And that there's not confidence. It's what it is. It's on paper. And even the pros, even some of these pros were like, they just jump into the fights after 4 amateur fights. They like go 4-0 as an amateur. They think they like the king of amateur division and they go pro. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. At amateur, you need to know what it's like to win. I do agree with you, but you also need to know what it's like to lose. You need to feel what it's like to lose. And then you go on a win streak and you go on maybe a losing streak and you just get to taste life a bit before you go pro. So that when you go pro, it doesn't happen like I go on a losing streak and I'm like, what is happening? I'm the worst MMA fighter. And I retire with a record of like 1-4.
Yeah, I feel I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm not the fighter, but I just feel like because you see it often in the pro scenes, you get these guys who have clean records and they take one loss and then suddenly they go on this bad run. It's probably because they don't know also how to face a loss or deal with it and come back from it, because they're so used to winning. So that makes complete sense what you're saying.
I do agree. My boy, sorry, I'm busy moving around now. I need to put my phone on charge.
No,
my boy, Conor McGregor, he's part of that. He's part of that. And I'm like, I will not be like that. I'm like, I can't be like that. I'm like, you need to experience loss. It's part of life. It's a part of everything. And amateur, rather lose as an amateur where I'm not getting paid and no one's really watching than lose now in front of at EFC where my whole family and thousands of other people are watching.
Yeah, kids who's watching, just take note what the guy just said now, eh? Tell me something also, Gift. So, and then also, aside from JP being your coach, also like what is the other values that he instills in you also? Because obviously you've walked a long road with him in terms of just guiding you as an athlete, as a human. Is he also like a big mentor in your life?
He has shown me, man, like love Jesus, man. And if you love Jesus and you can try to spread a little bit of love, because that's what Jesus wants for us. If you can spread a little bit of love in this world and show and shed a little bit of light instead of darkness and being negative, and you just be that little bit of light in the world, I promise you a lot of good things will happen for you. Not saying your life's going to be great, man. I don't live in a double-story mansion or everything, but my life's good. I wake up with a smile on my face. I'm happy. I've got contempt. I know this was the right decision I made, and I think that was the thing. Like JP has instilled that in me. Like just have a little bit of love and have patience with the world, and life will be good to you.
Awesome. I'll say amen to that, eh? And then also just tell me, so how does it exactly feel now? You're only a couple of days out from your debut. I mean, you said obviously you had the wisdom to not just rush into it. Things could have changed, or you could have been in the EFC back in the day already, but still the fact that you're a few days away from making your debut now, just what's the headspace like, and are there any butterflies?
No butterflies yet. I think butterflies will set in on weigh-in day on Friday. I think butterflies will hit then, because then it's for real. I see my opponent, there's lights, there's cameras. I have to be on weight, on the money. So yeah, I think weighing will be a little bit different, but no butterflies yet. Right now, it's a fight for me. Hey? It doesn't change from the MMA or the fight stuff fights. It really doesn't. Like, I fought God knows in Glover. This was like one of the fights that like I think made me who I am today. And I was terrified of that fight. Eh? I was like, oh my gosh, this man hit so hard. How am I going to do this? What, I was 20 years old at the time. I was young, 19 years old. So I'm still a kid. This guy's like 28, 29. He's old. He's a man. So I'm like, he's already got the manpower factor. So he's got that power factor. He's got the age factor. So I'm like, I've got speed, but speed's not enough. But you know what saved me that fight? Pure experience, man. Like, pure experience. I had more fights than him. I was more calm than him under my bad times, and that's what won me the fights. And from that day, I was like, fuck you. I don't care about your muscles. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how many fights you have. If they say it's Gift Walker versus that guy, they're saying that because that's the fight they think I can win. And I'm going to go try win that fight.
Nice, nice. And then just regarding your opponent, Zwein Gema, I think he lost to Cameron, also coming off 3 losses in the EFC. If I'm not mistaken, do you look at that as pressure not to be his first win, or do you feel it's a good start for you, not too challenging, or does none of that matter? It's just system-based approach and it's a fight.
I mean, honestly, I feel Zwei's coming out guns blazing. He wants to get a win. That's how Zwei's feeling. And besides that, I trained for him. I could kick like a world champion. Like this guy was a world champion. So now you can imagine the headspace. I mean, I've trained for this guy like a world champion, and he's coming out to take my head off. So you can only imagine the headspace I'm at. I'm coming also. I'm coming for war. I'll meet you in the center of the octagon, and whatever he's gonna bring, I'll bring it as well. And I'm not gonna shy away. Like it's a fight, and I know like he's 0-3, but I don't overlook that. I don't like. I won't, because I've got 0 fights. I'm 0. I'm 0-0. So I can't disrespect him there. He's a veteran. He's got 3 fights over me. So I need to respect him there, keep my hands up, and go and finish this guy.
Nice. Well said. And then also just, I wanted just you to be quite frank on this question. How excited are you about the future of MMA in South Africa? And just to be as honest as possible, and can you just maybe state a couple of issues that you feel need to be addressed for MMA to go forward in the country?
How much time do we have? Half an hour, hey? Or 10 minutes? Hey?
We got like 15 minutes left, 10 to 15 minutes left.
Okay. So I feel that MMA, sorry, I'm going to walk to the kitchen to put my phone on charge. It's not charging here.
All good, bro.
I feel in South Africa, it's going to grow, but it's only going to grow with the likes of people like youngsters, young up-and-comers with good morals, good ethics, good values, not like anyone who thinks they're better than the rest, yeah? And I think us guys, that there's a lot of us, like me, the Camerons, the Raymond, the Nathaniels, the Peace, the Julios, like the young, vibrant guys, all of us, we're going to steal the scene for MMA South Africa, and we're going to take us to the international level. I do feel that honestly, if you ask me. And I'm excited for that, I really am, because those are all, we're all great high-level guys, and we all can represent, and we're all well-spoken, and it's great for South Africa, and it's good for us.
Cool. And then just what can you maybe list specific goals for is there a timeline or just specific goals that you have in mind for your professional mixed martial arts career?
So they asked me this at EFC, and I said to them, give me 2 years, 2 years in the EFC, not saying in 2 years, give me 2 years and I'll wear EFC gold. I'll be an EFC champion. And 2 years from that, I'll be in an international promotion doing international stuff. And that's just how I see it. By the time I'm 25, 26, I'm getting paid in dollars, not rands anymore.
Nice, nice. And then just second last question, who is your favorite SA fighter and who's your favorite UFC fighter? I think you mentioned Conor, but I'm not sure if he is still your favorite UFC fighter, but favorite SA fighter and favorite UFC fighter?
Favorite SA fighter, sure, has to be Mr. JP Kruger. Even like if he wasn't my coach, man, he is so exciting. Even like before I joined his team, this guy's a kickboxing champion. And you go look at his wins, it's all submissions. And you're like, what? How the hell? You're a kickboxer, but you're submitting guys. And everyone disrespected his stand-up until he fought Bahati. And that fight in the Bahati fight, he just made a mistake and he got caught. And I was like, oh, man. And he's like, oh, man, like, if we have to run that fight back now, I know JP kills Bahati 10 times out of 10 times. But on the night, he lost. And it happened, but he's striking. Man, I look at that day, I'm like, shit, that was beautiful. So yes, EFC fighter, JP Kruger. But I won't lie, if I can put like 5 there, JP Kruger's number 1, then DeMar Pena would be number 2. And then there's the Boyd Allens and Leon Maynards and Martin van Staden. They all fall in that list as well. I like strikers. I like the strikers. And then UFC, it's Conor McGregor and John Jones. Yeah, they're my 2 favorites. They're 2 like power figures. I love those 2 guys.
Yeah, I just feel sometimes John Jones, because obviously, yes, he caught on the nonsense with all the side stories, but you have to give the man the praise. He's one of the most talented athletes, I mean, ever, if not the most talented. I just feel people just tarnish him like with this negativity. Honestly, I just feel you can't compare the man. I mean,
even TJ Dillashaw, same thing, same thing. I'm like, they really, these guys, those are my three favorite: Conor, John Jones, and TJ, and all of them. Besides Conor. Conor just has a big mouth and he drinks a lot of whiskey. But John Jones and Dillashaw, man, like they're class acts. They're really, really good guys. But because of steroids, just a few mishaps, and John Jones obviously outside the cage, everyone's like, oh man, you this, you that. But they're the greatest athletes ever. No one can move like them. No one.
Cool. Thanks for that, man. And then last one, does it get you more pumped to see that the gap is closing between the American UFC market and the South African market now, knowing that your doors are going to probably be easy to open? Not saying you're not going to work for it, but that the guys likes of Dana White's are going to be, there's going to be more eyes on people like the youngsters like you coming through now and getting that chance to step up into the biggest stage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do feel that. And no like disrespect, but it's also thanks to guys like Lutando Biko, BK, like all these guys, and like the Boyd Allens and the Dricus Duplessis and the Don Matches and the JP Bays. They set the way. They opened the doors for us. They literally they waited, they waved the flag. Good on them. They showed what South African MMA is about. So I'm grateful for them in that sense. And I'm grateful for like the Israel Adesanyas and Kamaru Usmans, because that's Africa now, because that's talking like Africa. So yeah, I'm grateful for that. But I feel like, yeah, I was going to get in regardless of that. Regardless, I really wanted to be the first fighter from SA in the UFC. I was selfish like that. I was super selfish. But there were other people that made it, so I had to make another dream. So I want to be the first one to win a championship. Nice. Hopefully, Dricus said they go and win a championship in the UFC, because they'd have to make another goal. But
maybe you can be the first flyweight.
Then I'll think like that. Then my head will be like that. I'll be the first flyweight and bantamweight champion in the UFC.
Nice.
The South African one.
Nice.
That's literally how I have to think like that.
Mr. Keith Walker, thank you so much for your time, and it's been a real pleasure speaking to you. All the best for your fight. Come this weekend, and we wish you everything of the best, and we know there's a bright future ahead of you, sir.
Thank you, my sir. This was awesome. Thank you for your time.
All good, man. Have a good one. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Good night.
Cheers.